It's February 2023 and I have come to meet with the UK HiFi Manufacturer Cyrus. And I haven't travelled to Huntingdon to their famous headquarters. I've actually travelled to Nottingham to see the manufacturing side of Cyrus. And regulars to this channel will know that I've long been an advocate of the importance of power supply quality for the sound quality of hi-fi components for both digital and analog. And Cyrus recently released a brand new power supply that they are saying is revolutionary. So of course, I wanted to find out more about this power supply. I wanted to see it being manufactured, and I've brought you all along for the journey. So I hope you enjoy this video. It's definitely going to be an interesting one. So I'm here with Nick Clark, who is Managing Director for Cyrus. And Nick, I just want to say thank you very much for allowing me to come here and hosting me and allowing me to create this video with you. So thank you.
Our pleasure, Terry. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. So I want to talk to you about your new XR power supply, but I thought it would make sense to start by asking you, who are Cyrus? Because I'm sure most people watching this video will know Cyrus as a company with a nearly 40-year history, but there may be some viewers who don't know Cyrus. So who are Cyrus and what makes them unique as a hi-fi manufacturer in 2023?
Cyrus, if you go back in the time machine to sort of 1983, 1984, the then Mission Company wanted a brand of electronics to showcase their excellent loudspeakers that they made. And they took the decision to come up with the brand Cyrus. Go forward a bit to 1993 and the two companies became separate entities. And ever since then, Cyrus has been an independent hi-fi manufacturer, proudly based in the UK with excellent engineering facilities. And I suppose what makes us unique right now is, that absolute focus on, solid sound engineering that delivers excellent performance in the products.
That leads really nicely on to my next question, really, which is about the new PSU XR, the new power supply. And when I saw the press details for that, it was described as a revolutionary power supply, which got me really interested. But there are a lot of manufacturers that make external upgraded power supplies for hi-fi products, and some manufacturers are very famous for this, and one is Cyrus. So what makes the new XR power supply revolutionary?
Revolutionary is quite a brave choice of words, but we believe we can stand by that because when you plug the PSU XR into the host product, and actually you can plug the same PSU XR into all of our compatible XR products, so the power amplifier, the preamplifier, the CD player, the CD transport, and the upcoming streamer. That host product then talks via a communications link to the power supply and tells the power supply what power it needs from a choice of up to 5 power supplies. And then those supplies are then synthesized to those exact requirements and transmitted back to the product. Also internally, those power supplies are galvanically isolated. So what that means is there's no electrical connection between them. They only come together within the host product, which is the correct place. And there are several modes of operation that power supply can have. So you might, for example, have some circuitry that would require an extremely stiff, stable voltage, or you might want to have a high burst current capability, in which case you would allow that to happen at the expense of letting the voltage sag a little bit. So the power supply can work in a way that exactly matches what the host product requests of it. As you mentioned, many of our competitors make external power supplies, but usually, and I'm speaking generally here of course, they're bespoke power supplies for products. So you have to get product A and a power supply to match it, product B and a power supply to match it. With the Cyrus PSU XR, you can plug that same product into any of your compatible XR products. And so if you had 2 or 3 XR products, you could decide for yourself which one it worked best for you with, or of course buy 3.
Yeah, so just to confirm then, so it'd be 1 power supply still per product.
That's correct, yes.
But one of the things that I thought was really interesting was the flexibility of it, if that makes sense. So you could start with it on a CD player, test that out for a couple of months, and then try another XR component within the system, just to test and to play and to mess around and enjoy the benefits across different products, and see how much benefit you can get before you invest more money. These are all things that I like as an audiophile, the play around and the flexibility.
That's completely correct. Yeah, and indeed, I recently did an event with our sales team where our customer already had a CD transport and an amplifier, and he wanted to see where the power supply would help him, and he listened to it connected to the CD transport, he listened to it connected to the amplifier, and he went, right, looks like I got by two then.
One question I had was backwards compatibility. So if you own non-XR Cyrus products, would it make sense to, or would it even work? And secondly, is there backwards compatibility for previous generation Cyrus products?
There is backwards compatibility through an adapter cable, although obviously it's significantly more expensive than the PS-XR2, the current product. That being said, if you were looking at upgrading the rest of your system to XR in the future, you might want to buy a PSU XR now and then upgrade the other products later. In terms of availability, obviously we're at our production facility filming this, so you've probably been out on the line earlier and seen them being made. So they are now flowing out to dealers and should be available now.
And obviously the Bristol HiFi show, depending on when you're watching this, is in a couple of weeks. We are mid-February, aren't we? So it's in a couple of weeks' time. I assume you guys will be demonstrating the power supply there.
Absolutely, yes. We'll be demonstrating the power supply with our i9 XR amplifier and some other partners. So obviously Spendor speakers and Auralic on the streaming side. And yes, people can come to the Bristol show and we'd love to see you there.
And can I ask one more question about the way things work with the power supply? Because there looks like a specific cable or connection that links from the power supply to the components. Is that a Cyrus proprietary?
Yes, it's a proprietary cable. It comes obviously supplied with the product. The user simply connects one end to the host product, remembering to do up the retaining screws, of course. Connects the other end to the PSU, again, remembering to do up the retaining screws. You then turn the host product on. That will automatically start a sequence where the power supply is turned on. Communication occurs between the two. The power supplies are then sent to the host product. And as part of the startup sequence on the display, you will see, if the product has a display, of course, you will see PSU XR active as a very visible reminder that the thing's working. And also, if you go into the menu, it will give you information about the power supply.
Am I right in thinking that the power supply is microprocessor controlled? Is that correct?
That's right, yes. There's a microprocessor in the host that talks to a microprocessor in the power supply. So in addition to that communication, the microprocessor in the power supply is also handling the synthesizing and the protection within the power supply. So it's obviously monitoring what it's doing as well. So if anything goes wrong, it can sort of shut things down to prevent any damage.
So it's actually quite a smart power supply in that regard as well. Would that be classed as smart these days? I suppose it's not quite a smartphone, but it is quite smart for a power supply.
It is, and my marketing colleagues have come up with an excellent name for it. We call it the intelligent power supply.
We'll obviously move on to talking about the manufacturing side of Cyrus, because the facilities here are very, very impressive. I mean, it's a big facility. There's a mixture of really high-tech machinery and also humans, human part of manufacturing. And the bits that impressed me was the speed and complexity of the picking machines, the intricacy of the X-ray machines that could look at the circuit boards completed and check for tiny soldering errors and stuff like that. It's all super impressive. And I have to ask, Cyrus are a British company, but that doesn't guarantee manufacturing in the UK. Not every company does, but Cyrus do. So I've got to ask the question, with a lot of manufacturers manufacturing products in the Far East, why does Cyrus still manufacture here in the UK?
You're right, you can manufacture in the Far East, and many people do. But simply put, it's the flexibility it gives us and the skill. We're in Nottingham filming this. Cyrus's R&D base is in Huntingdon. There are approximately an hour and a half between them. It's very easy to come up here, sort out any issues, go back on the same day. If we were manufacturing in the Far East, that you'd be on a plane for 13 hours. It would be at least 2 days. The same for any samples, anything like that. It's just the ability to react. We are able to use those advanced pick and place machines for the machine place parts, the very small parts, what we call BGAs, ball grid arrays, where the connections are actually underneath the component so you can't even see them, which is where you get into the X-ray machines that you mentioned. You need to X-ray the part after it's been placed to make sure that all the joints are good and that your process is good before you go into full production. And you can also see on the production line where a bare board isn't touched by human hands. It simply goes through the pasting process, the placement process, the soldering process before a person even touches it again, because those boards are fragile at any point in that process. But then there are components that you could auto place, but that's a massive investment in machinery for the number of number of units we're making. So it makes much more sense to have a skilled human. We're not completely redundant yet.
Because that was the thing that stood out to me, is that I thought I was looking at a row of machines, but actually it was one big, long, kind of like a production line machine, huge, great long machine that would and the circuit board, probably that's the wrong name, would work its way along that, and that was amazing to me because I assumed it would be lots of individual machines. It's really
no, and you were right, by the way. It is a circuit board. If you had those machines, and they are separate machines, but they're linked together. But if you had a break between every machine and someone either loaded onto a cassette or someone picked it up and put it on the next machine, that's a chance for that board to be knocked. And these tiny components, you'd only have to do that, and they shift a little bit, and you've potentially introduced a problem.
So what we're talking about here is really improved effectiveness or quality of manufacturing, really, for less problems, I assume, and longer lifespans of products. That's my takeaway from this.
Completely, yes. And and those machines that you saw, they are used for all sorts of other parts, including aerospace. So, that's the same machine that will make a circuit board that goes into space. So you've got to know that's right, because that's a hell of a service call if it doesn't work.
Cyrus are very famous for the look and the design of their products, like the half-width, quite deep chassis. And from my memory, which is only a short audiophile memory, really, it's always been that way. It's always been that kind of look and design of products. I suppose that my question would be, how important is that? How important is it for that look and design? And does that make it more difficult?
It certainly presents some challenges to our design engineers. You've got to get the same performance out of effectively half the space of many of our competitors. But that allows us to come up with some unique and novel solutions to problems. So, sometimes a little bit of a push helps, I think. And you're right, it is instantly identifiable. You don't even need to see the brand on the product, that that's a Cyrus product. So yes, we're very proud of the look.
One of the questions I get asked all the time is, what speakers should I buy for this amplifier, or what amplifier should I buy for these speakers? So I'm with a manufacturer. It's a luxury and a treat to be able to ask this question. So what speakers, for example, would you recommend for your amplifiers? What would be your recommended? What should somebody buy if they're a Cyrus system owner?
At the risk of a glib answer, actually anything they want. I mean, one of the advantages of the design topology and the skill that our engineers have is that the amplifiers can pretty much drive anything, even some of the most complex of loudspeaker loads. So, yeah, we don't really recommend any specific speaker because it's up to the end customer to choose. It's not our place to tell them what to do there.
Because power-wise, I think behind us we've got an integrated amplifier. I think that's 100 watts.
91.
Oh, yeah. And then there's a monoblock power amplifier of 200 watts. Is that correct?
There's the stereo is 200 watts and the monoblock is 300 watts.
So it's a lot of power actually coming out of
indeed,
and the smaller units.
And those are real watts as well. And again, I've done demonstrations where people have gone 300 watts out of that box. It must get roasting. And put my hand on it and go, nope.
Let's talk about the current range of products, which is XR. And I mean, my history of Cyrus goes back a number of years. I think the first good CD player I owned was a CD6, and then later there was a 6S. So there always seems to be some kind of evolution of Cyrus products, which is what we expect from manufacturers. So my question is, What makes the latest range, the XR range, better, different, and stand out from any of the previous Cyrus ranges before?
When the engineers were given the task of designing the XR range, it was effectively a clean sheet design, what we'd call a clean sheet design. It wasn't, as some of the products in the past, as you've described, have been, oh, we'll just evolve that a little bit. It was right, you can start again with every single part of this. And that again pushed them to get novel, innovative, higher performing solutions. And as a result, it's, arguably, and the measurements back it up, our highest performing range ever.
So if somebody owns previous ranges of Cyrus equipment, can they mix and match with the new XR range, or is there anything sonic synergistically wise that would or wouldn't work?
No, everything will work perfectly together. Even amplifier gains are matched. So you would be able to, sensitivities of amplifiers and all those sorts of things are matched. So you would be able to mix and match pretty much any Cyrus products together.
So the evolution of Cyrus products, or the evolution of maybe an audiophile's ownership of Cyrus products, is thought about as part of the design process?
Completely, yes. Upgradability and building that system up is a core pillar of the company, brand thinking. So 100%.
You know what, I really like that, because there's nothing worse than investing in something. We expect new things to come, but sometimes when you've invested in something and then a new thing comes along, damn it, I've just bought this thing and there's a new thing. But it's nice to be able to mix and match some of the new with some of what you own to get as much performance as possible. And that leads me on to probably my last question is, I looked on the Cyrus website before I came here, and there's a real mixture of products, what I would call core hi-fi products being manufactured, like your CD players, your integrated, your phono stage, your pre and power. But one thing that I don't remember seeing was a music server or a music streamer, but you mentioned it earlier. So what's the situation with a music streamer at the moment from Cyrus?
We've signed up with Bluos, the ecosystem, to implement that as our streaming product for the XR and Classic ranges. So those are going through the various stages of development right now. In fact, you might even have seen some boards being made as you walked around, because we're at the point in the process where we're making a small number of them for regulatory approvals and compliance and all the various services that we have to get approvals from before we can launch such a product. So we're very happy with the system, very happy with our partner Bluos, and looking forward to that product getting to the end users watching this.
Yeah, I think that's quite an exciting prospect, because I really like Bluos as a user experience and interface. And just a quick question on that: what types of products will we see? Will we be seeing just music server streamers, or will we be seeing streamer DACs? What should we expect?
Well, the Classic will be a streamer product, and the XR version will have a couple of digital inputs, so effectively a streamer DAC as you describe.
Excellent. And this is a cheeky question I always ask manufacturers: is there anything else new that maybe we can be excited about or look forward to coming from Cyrus?
Well, as we mentioned at the opening of this conversation, Cyrus started effectively in 1984, so 2024 will be our 40th, and everyone likes to go big for their 40th, and I think there's a couple of things that will excite people and get people in a bit of a spin.
I know what it is, and that's a great one, Nick. What a great way to end this interview and conversation. I just want to say a huge thank you to you.
Superb.
Thank you very much,
Terry.
It's been a real treat to see everything and meet the team and get a chance to touch and experience the product. So thank you very much. Thanks. And everybody at home, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit the thumbs up button, and obviously subscribe if you haven't already. Of course you have. And I'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching. Take care, Nick. Thanks again. Thank you.
Cheers, Terry. Bye.